The nation's best scoring defense plays at Ohio State. Jim Knowles doesn't want to hear that. That's rat poison. Can't be talking about that. This is BuckIQ. That's Zach Boren. I'm Austin Ward. We weren't feeding any of that rat poison to Ohio State last week. Then they went out there and forced 3 turnovers, got a key 4th down stop, gave up 7 points on the road. Now they're right back there, number 1 in the country, Zach. 6.75 points a game. That's pretty darn good.
It's damn good. It's not rat poison. We were just giving them a little dose of medicine that they needed, a little kick in the you-know-what. And look what they do. Go get some turnovers, 7 points. I mean, come on, a couple 4th down stops. We're rolling.
Yeah, and I think, we could have fired up some plays from the first half. In fact, Jordan Hancock's forced fumble wasn't, the greatest Ohio State play by all 11 silver bullets on the field. But I think if we focus too much on the yardage, which we could do, that might be missing the fact that this team was tasked with trying to force turnovers. They did that. You got to get off the field. They did that. And if you hold a team out of the end zone, I think that's ultimately the mission. So that's not meant to say everything is perfect and hunky-dory with Ohio State's defense, but they're accomplishing the things that they set out to do. And I don't know that we could or should ever gloss over that fact.
I will be the first to say the first couple drives of the game against Michigan State were not acceptable. We're not up to Ohio State's defensive standards from a stat standpoint, right? And I think they would agree with that as well. But When you get off the field and you make a play on 4th and short, when you get beat but create a turnover and get the ball and it goes the other way, when you do those things you're getting backed kind of into the corner, but guess what? You come out swinging to find a way to get off the field. That's defense, man. That's what great defenses do. No one's going to be perfect. Are there things for them to work on? Most definitely. But I just love that. Guess what? We got some fighters, because you and I could go. We could give example after example over the past couple of years of drives when Ohio State was giving up big plays and chunk plays. They just kind of folded, and next thing you know, they're giving up points. This defense is complete opposite. People start driving the ball on them. They buckle down, find a way to make a stop and get off the field. And that's what you're going to need. I know Buckeye Nation wants to complain about it. I know there are so many things that they want to nitpick. And I think that's a great thing, because when people are nitpicking this much, it means how great this team is and how special they can really be. But from a defense standpoint, from a former player standpoint, how those players are sitting in there now, coaches, guess what? You are ecstatic that you are making the plays when you need to make them.
Yeah, I felt like, this week when Jim Knowles talked on Tuesday about the Ohio State defense, he continued to still, he's going to nitpick that. He's the defensive coordinator. He makes $2 million. That's his job, is to constantly be trying to find the next step and what's coming next for the Ohio State defense. Last week, you could tell when he didn't name a silver bullet of the game, when he was looking at the issues that happened against Marshall, he was not pleased. And that carried over into his press conference. And sometimes it can be dangerous to read in too much to the way that they're talking, but there are a lot more jokes called that nit whacking instead of nitpicking. He talked about the rat poison, and when people would point out that Ohio State's generating pressure on 47% of the snaps without blitzing, when they're the number 1 scoring defense, they have a lot of good things that they're doing, and he would joke about that and use that rat poison term. I feel like, yes, they can still play better, which he talked about, tackling a little bit better. They're going to have Tyleik Williams back. That might make some things better as well. They could play more press coverage, but this felt a lot different after going on the road and holding Michigan State to 7 and doing all these other things that we're going to watch on film than the way he might have felt a week ago. I take that to be a pretty positive sign for the Silver Bullets.
Well, if there's anyone who knows or has the finger on the pulse of how good this defense can be and the point where they're at in the season moving forward, it's Jim Knowles, right?
Yeah.
That's the one guy. So I think reading into his emotions today compared to last week, the way that he kind of gives ad libs to certain things, like you have to be excited about that, because to me, that tells me Jim Knowles is confident in this defense, knows that, hey, going into this stretch run, and we've talked about it on the show multiple times, in Eugene, Oregon, at State College against Penn State, against the team up north, into the playoff that you go. If Jim Knowles is feeling that way, he knows this defense can be really good. And he knows that, guess what? When I need to dial things up in those big games, they can make the plays and they can do the things that we need them to do in order for us to win a football game. And I think that's what makes Jim Knowles so happy. And that's why you're seeing some of those emotions this year, because I think in years past, guess what? In the back of his mind, there may have been some questions like, hey, if we get ourselves in this situation, it's not very good. And I think what he realizes is, we can get ourselves in any situation, which frees up his defensive play calling, knowing that, hey, I got the studs on the field to make the plays.
Yeah, I feel like this week with Iowa coming in on Saturday, Zach, is a great barometer for where and I'm not saying it that what the first 4 games didn't count or that Michigan State didn't count, but I look at this Iowa offense and the situation that Ohio State is going to be facing as like a knockoff version of Michigan. And from the last couple of years, maybe not right now, but the ability to throw to the tight end and complement that with a very powerful rushing attack. If there had been opportunities that we've talked about on BuckIQ in the previous couple of years, Ohio State didn't maybe meet those moments. Let's remove the Connor Stallions part of that. I think the way that Ohio State defends Iowa on Saturday is going to be pretty informative about what Jim Knowles might be doing differently and how this personnel aligns with what they want to do in those biggest games that you mentioned, not just Oregon, Penn State, Michigan. I think Iowa belongs in that conversation as well.
I could not agree with you more. And you talked about, I know Iowa was the laughing stock of the country in the Big Ten last year with the offense, but they have taken a step forward. You talk about their rushing attack, which is very good. They utilize the tight ends. You brought up Michigan. I'm even going to take it a step further. It's almost this offense is going to be somewhat of a poor man's Penn State and Michigan, right? 2 big games that you have circled on the calendar. Penn State's the same way. They like to run the football, utilize their tight ends. They don't have many playmakers at the wide receiver position. So that's what they do. A lot of play action. It's the same thing that Michigan's doing. And so being able to get this game under their belt, and to your point, like you said, the way they kind of roll out and defend this defense this week is going to tell you so many things about the way that they're going to play Penn State and Michigan later in the year. And I would also argue that this team that they're going to play in Iowa is probably it's the most difficult from a personnel standpoint for Ohio State to defend. And we've seen that the past couple of years playing against Michigan, that guess what? That's the hardest scheme for them to defend, because guess what? Oregon can spread them out. Ohio State's going to match up with them all day long, right? If you say, hey, we want to out athlete you and go toe to toe with speed and whatever it might, it's not going to happen. Right. So Oregon's offense from that standpoint matches up so much better with Ohio State. Well, I should say Ohio State's defense matches up so much better with Oregon's offense compared to an Iowa, a Penn State, a Michigan. And so to be able to face this Iowa team that, to your point, is kind of a poor man's Penn State, who then you're taking another step to Michigan. Maybe that was in years past, maybe not this year, right? But it is so good for Ohio State to get that practice and be able to say, hey, listen, we got to strap on our chin straps. Maybe we're going to show 5 down fronts. Maybe we're going to play a lot more 4-3 that we saw some against Michigan State. Like, we need to do some different things. And I think that's great practice moving forward.
It'll help that they're carrying a little momentum into that game against Iowa as well. Got the turnovers they needed, got the stops they needed, held Michigan State to 7 points. So if last week on BuckIQ was the kick in the butt, then this one is the pat on the back with Zach Boren. Let's roll the tape. All right, if you're talking about a tone-setting play, the guy in the block O and on a 4th down, it's hard to get much better than that. Cody Simon, Zach, I mean, I know you love this one. It's just man-on-man, mano-a-mano, in the trenches. I was in the press box like 100 yards away, and I felt this hit.
There's only one word to say with this play: stud. Absolute stud. Like, listen, Cody Simon, to be able to time this the way he does, literally pushes his defense lineman and then launches up over top to stop Aiden Childs in midair. I mean, this is your block O dude putting a hat on a hat. Actually, you'll see it in the next clip, I think, sticking his face directly into Aiden Childs' chest and making a play. Watch this. He literally launches head up, right there. Bam. I mean, that is as good as you can get from this standpoint. And literally, I mean, you got to give credit to defensive line getting low, forcing the Ainge to go high. But bam, right. I mean, that is people don't understand how hard this play is, right? Because you have to time it perfectly. They literally need a half a yard. Cody launches, and then for him to be so strong that, look, his body's off the ground, and he literally hits the dude so hard that he stops and then goes backwards. This tells you how explosive he is. I love this play. I could not speak more highly of Cody in the way that he played Saturday and on this play.
I wondered how we were going to talk about it because, like, well, it's a quarterback sneak. It's so simple. Like, the defensive line gets low, and then Cody Simon turns into Superman. But like, dude, there's so much.
This is not simple. Like, people don't realize how far he has. Look, Cody Simon has to launch forward, has to get high. Guess what? If 44 is back there, he might not get high enough, to get underneath the Michigan State quarterback. That's me, 44, not JTT. So I don't want everyone thinking about that, right? Like,
original 44.
The original 44, right? Like, this dude literally launches himself and has enough strength to hold up Ainge, who is not a small guy, right? And be able to push him backwards here in this situation, and while keeping his head up. Because the other thing is if he ducks his head, guess what? He's out for targeting.
Yep, don't want that. So you're asking the linebacker to do something hard there, and he's got to keep his head up. You can't hit him head to head. You don't want to get tossed from the game early on. That would have created a whole nother issue for Ohio State. So more complicated than it looks, and it was certainly more valuable than just about anything else that happened in the game, because it allowed Ohio State to go then build a 10-point lead. Michigan State starts driving a little bit and even gets some yardage here, but they don't pay it off because of what happens from Jordan Hancock.
Yeah, I mean, this is Jordan Hancock to a T. I mean, this is what he did last year. If you pause this right here, though, here's one thing where I want to give a little bit of a coaching tip, right? And we talk about people that watch this show. This is a cover one look. Caleb Downs is down in the box. So quarterback knows this is man, right? It's single high. Lathan's up. Caleb's down. Caleb is literally blitzing on the edge. Cody Simon is mirroring the back right here, right? And it might be you can see Cody trigger on the back. He goes to block, so he's kind of sitting. Sonny right here is playing man on this tight end. Where is one place you cannot get beaten man? It's the inside. No one is there to help you. Yes, I realize they stacked the receivers, but Sonny, you have to sit on the outside. Look, it's 2nd and 10. If he makes a little out route and you tackle him for a 5-6 yard gain, it's still 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. Like, you're fine. Here, guess what? You give up the inside. There is no one there. If Jordan Hancock doesn't come here to save the day, guess what? This is a 25, 30-yard gain, and they're inside the red zone threatening the score to go up or to make it 10-7. Like, this is where you cannot get beat. Sonny has to learn from this, but what I love is, look, Jordan Hancock coming after the football. Lathan Ransom, guess what? Break down, slow down. You see so many guys nowadays just run at this dude and try and take out his legs, and is so uncontrolled where the guy running the ball doesn't even need to slow down. Here, guess what? He's so concentrated on getting off Lathan Ransom that Jordan Hancock comes here, bang, they drill this all the time, back to spring ball through fall camp. This is what he did last year, time and time again. And I do give credit to Sonny here for, guess what? You get beat, don't give up on the play, right? He tries to chase him down. Guess what? Gets the ball, and Buckeyes ball the other way.
Yeah, when we've talked, Zach, about the relative lack of turnovers and takeaways for the Ohio State defense, like, Jim Knowles brought that up himself throughout training camp. So this is what we're going to emphasize. We're going to fix that. And he was talking about punching the football, which you'll see from Lathan Ransom, and ripping it out, which we see right here from Jordan Hancock. Yep. I don't know that this is teach tape. You can't do better than that.
You cannot do better than that. At the coaches clinic in March or April, whenever they have it, guess what? They're going to show this clip of Jordan Hancock, and this is exactly how you do it. But if you rewind that even more, I love this. I saw this on TV. If you rewind it, I didn't bring this up while we're going over it, but rewind it a little bit more. This is how you know you've picked up. Look, pause this right here. Look at James's face on the sideline. He's like, mother effer, you got beat to the inside. He is so pissed off right now. If you look at James Laurinaitis on the sideline, like that's the best part about this clip. And I saw it when I was watching the replay on Peacock. He's just like, you gotta be kidding me, Sonny, which is great. But he understands, guess what, Sonny, you can't get beat to the inside. And I guarantee you this was teach tape for Sonny on Sunday as well.
You and I have both seen when James Laurinaitis is walking towards you like that, you don't want to be in that room.
Oh, he dropped 4 F-bombs in 4 steps just now on the sideline.
So, big play there for the Buckeyes. They get off the field. I mean, I love it where, look, Jordan Hancock is 10 yards away right there. Lathan Ransom slows him down. But you just watch that at full speed. The closing ability from Jordan Hancock is great. Big time play. But turnovers are what this team needs. And here's another opportunity that they get one late before halftime. It's in this middle late zone where Ohio State really dominated. We're not breaking down Jeremiah Smith here, but that doesn't happen maybe if you don't get this takeaway.
Correct. Here's a big play as well. Yeah, Ohio State gets away with a face mask by Taiwan. But guess what? Lathan Ransom here is – we talked about him multiple times on the show, right? If there was an MVP so far of this defense on the year, it would be Lathan Ransom. He is playing so free. He is playing so well. And guess what? In another huge situation right here, right before the half, 17-7, Michigan State's driving. You got to make a play. And guess what? Lathan Ransom right here with the massive punch. Ball comes out. And I love that the defensive line are trailing. But here we go. Let's go back to the teach tape, right? If you rewind it to the start, guess what? You got 3rd and 3. We talk about this all the time on the show. What is it? Always know you're down in distance, right? So 3rd and 3, they spread you out 4 wide. What do you think's coming on 3rd and 3? Literally quarterback draw, quarterback lead. Like, you should know that. So as a defensive end on 3rd and 3, do you think the ball's going to come out quick? Is there... Of course, do we think like we should get up the field as quickly as we do? No, but you see Jack and JTT so far up the field right here. What's it do? It leaves it open. Granted, guess what? You got some guys making some plays. Cody Simon coming downhill. Lathan Ransom playing in the box. Guess what, guys? Here we go. Make the play. Like, this is huge. Lathan Ransom sees it, reads, reacts, gets down on it, get off the field. My bad. Yeah. I meant to give Sonny some credit there, not our boy Cody Simon.
Yeah. So they showed this like 100 times in the stadium, Zach, and you and I were texting back and forth, and I was like, I think they might have missed this when they got a break. And then Michigan State themselves showed one other camera angle in the stadium, which was in front of Childs, that undermined their entire argument. It does look like Taiwan Malone was in the shoulder pad and missed the helmet. And I think right there you might be able to grab it. He just missed it. So they did dodge a bullet, but it wasn't a missed call.
Okay, there you go. Watch that. Watch Lathan Ransom right there. This is perfect. Rewind it. This is what they drill. We have teach tape on back-to-back plays right here. Look at this. That is absolutely perfect. You always punch for the bottom part of the ball, right? Because guess what? The weakest part of the football, what is it? What does everyone say as a little kid? Keep it high and tight, right? If you keep it high and tight, where's the pressure when you keep it high and tight? It's on your bicep. What happens all the time? You have pressure on the nose of the football, right? That you see Aiden Childs has. So that's the hard part that, guess what? He's got the most grip. Where's the weakest part of the football? If it's not high and tight, there's nothing that the bottom of the football can literally be on. So guess what? That's the weak part of the football. Watch this. He punches the weak part of the football, which is what you're taught. It's the bottom part. There is nothing for that football to rest on if it's away from your bicep or away from your body. Bam, right there, punches the backside of the football. It comes right out. Jack Sawyer's running after the football again. Ty Hamilton running after the football. This is absolutely perfect.
I remember seeing all those like mat drills videos, Zach. You've been through this where you guys were punching bags and throwing stuff around. I'm like, dude, when is this ever going to be practically used in a football game? Well, here it is.
Look at it. And you can see like the Aiden Childs has the ball up in his top fingers. If Lathan punches this up high, all it's going to do is force the ball back into Aiden Child's chest. Instead, he punches the underside of the football, literally comes straight out, and you've got guys running after the football. Jack recovers. Guess what? Now it's still 17-7. Buckeyes go down and score, take it 24-7 to halftime, and game's over.
It sure was. All right. And then you cap it with a third takeaway right here. This pretty much ended the game. Once Ohio State got some pass rush going, it felt like Aiden Childs was not the same guy. Again, that's why it's so important. Right before halftime, the Buckeyes seemed like JT made a big sack. But this is an example of him like getting a little gun shy because he sees 44, the new 44, coming at him here, and Denzel Burke capitalizes on it.
For sure. This is what a pass rush does. I want everyone to watch this, right? If JTT does not recognize this and get in Aiden Child's face, look at this guy. I realize Denzel lets him go, right? But look at this right here. If he doesn't have pressure in his face and sees 44 bearing down at him, guess what? I know there's a safety up behind there, but guess what? That's an easy pitch and catch over Denzel into the sideline, right? Instead, JTT recognizes what's going on, gets in Aiden Childs' face. Aiden realized, guess what? I need to make a quick decision. Knows that, guess what? He has a tight end that's rolling out on a little bit of a delay. He knows, guess what? I can check it down real quick. What he doesn't realize is Denzel Burke's sitting on this, and then he overthrows the tight end. And guess what? Buckeyes going back the other way. Third turnover of the day. Now this is really ball game. 31-7, taking the ball back to make it 38-7.
Yeah, I think the only thing that you're going to ask Denzel, or I'll ask him, is say, hey, you got to score, man. You got to score on
man.
that.
You don't get the ball often. Go celebrate in the end zone. Get it.
He might have another chance. We'll see. Iowa's not the most dangerous passing team in the world, but the Buckeyes have things.
I would love to see one in Eugene. I'll tell you that much.
Well, maybe he could save it. That might be a good time for it. Either way, I think, as we said off the top on BuckIQ, we're going to learn a lot about the Buckeyes this week against Iowa, and then we'll be back to talk about it with Zach Boren on BuckIQ next week. So good stuff here. Again, it's the pats on the back. It's the number one scoring defense in the country. The only way to stay there is to keep playing like the way the Silver Bullets have for those first four games. So that's coming Saturday, 3:30, Ohio State and Iowa. I know Zach will be there. He'll be ready. We'll be talking about it on BuckIQ next time. For Zach, I'm Austin. So long.